Hello students, hope you all are doing great. I'm Achal Chaudhary, working as an assistant professor in management department. Today I'm going to share an online video on principles of management.
So students, as you know, we are continuing with the Unit 3. So today is the second lecture of Unit 3. So in previous lecture, we have completed organization, its features, principles, classification of organization, process and departmentation. And today we are going to continue with authority, responsibility, accountability and delegation of authority in detail. And also in between the video I will share some important points with you which will come in exam and which are expected to come in exam. And also in the end of every video I will share some questions with you which has been evaluated that they are from previous year exams. First topic of the day is authority. Authority is the right to give orders and the power to exact obedience. Authority gives the management the power to enforce obedience. It is the power to give orders and make sure that these orders are obeyed. So basically, it is the power to make decisions which guide the actions of another. It is a relationship between two individuals, one supervisor and the subordinate, where the supervisor frames and transmits decisions and subordinate accepts those decisions and his conduct is determined by such decisions. Here, superior is the one who can give the command to other and the one who have to work according that command is subordinate. Characteristics of authority. First is your basis of getting things done. Here, a person who have authority can ask other person to perform certain activities to accomplish the defined objectives. Next is your legitimacy. It means legal or formal bindings, which means employees accepts the order from their manager subordinates only because they are abided by law on the basis of his position in any organization. Next is your decision making. Manager can command his subordinates to act in a particular manner only when he has made decisions as regards the course of activities to be performed by them. Next is your subjectivity in implementation. Though authority has an element of objectivity about it, its exercise is significantly influenced by subjective factors, such as the personality of the manager who is empowered to use it, as also the subordinate or group of subordinates. Next is types of authority. Students, this is very important topic. Please note it down that it may come in your exams. So please understand it carefully. First is your legal authority. Basically, it is based upon the rank of the person in the organization. For example, our law has granted authority to police officer to arrest anyone who has committed a crime. So this way, when authority is supported by legal laws, that is known as legal authority. Next is your traditional authority. Here we follows the authority in the same manner as we are following from the last decades. That is, board of director have the topmost authority in an organization. Next is your acceptance theory of authority. It is just opposite to the traditional authority. Here, subordinates has the power to decide like whom they want to follow, whom they want to take decisions from. So in spite of focusing on someone's designation. Next is your charismatic authority. In this, a personal charisma of a leader who commands respect of his followers on the basis of his personality and his personal traits, such as intelligence and integrity. Last is your competence theory of authority. This is also known as technical authority. Here, a person's special knowledge or skills matters. For example, when doctor advises you to rest, you accept his order because you respect his knowledge and his skills as a doctor. Is your responsibility. Responsibility is an obligation of any individual to perform assigned duties to the best of his ability under the direction of his leader. Basically, responsibility is nothing but the duty that comes along with the job. In other words, it is the obligation of the person to, for accomplishment of the task which is given to him or her. Unlike authority, it follows from bottom to top. Please remember this point. It follows from bottom to top, and authority follows from top to bottom, and no one can delegate responsibility. Next is your accountability. It means it is the obligation of an individual to report formally to his superior about the work he has done to discharge the responsibility. Basically, accountability is nothing but the liability created for the transfer of authority. Accountability creates the obligation of the subordinate and makes him answerable for the work done by him or her. Delegation of authority. Here, the manager divides his work among the subordinates and he gives them the responsibility to accomplish their respective tasks. See, what happens is that manager has a lot of things to do, and also his motive is to make his subordinates capable to take decisions by their own. So in that case, he shares his responsibility downwards and check their efficiency by making them accountable for their doings. Principles of delegation of authority. First is principle of results expected. This suggests that every manager, before delegating the powers to the subordinate, should be able to clearly define the goals as well as the results expected from that, so that they can work accordingly and managers will have some set of standards to measure their performance. Next is your principle of absolute responsibility. This says that the authority can be delegated, but responsibility can't be delegated by managers, which means responsibility is fixed. The manager at every level, no matter what is his authority, is always responsible to his superior for carrying out his task. Next is your principle of authority level. This principle suggests that a manager should exercise his authority within his framework. This principle emphasizes on the degree of authority and level up to which it has to be maintained. Next is your balance of authority and responsibility. See, as we all know that there should be a balance between authority and responsibility. Otherwise, there will be some difficulty in doing the task. So, there should be a parity between the responsibility and authority so that subordinate can work their task easily and efficiently. If there is no authority to carry out his responsibility, he will be unable to carry out his task. Next is your unity of command. In yesterday's lecture, in previous lecture, we have already discussed unity of command, which means that there should be one boss, one superior only. If the subordinate receives instructions and orders from more than one superior, it will lead to confusion and conflict. And last is your defining the limits of authority. Another point to note that is that manager must ensure that all the subordinates have well-defined authority so that they can work efficiently without any confusion. Thus, advantages of delegation of authority. First, It minimizes the workload of managers as they can assign regular work and routine nature of work to their subordinates, while they can concentrate more efficiently on their managerial and creative functions or any kind of functions. Next is your benefits of specialization. See, students, since the work is assigned to the person who have specialized knowledge and expertise, it helps for specialized services. This contributes in the development of the concept of specialization among the subordinates. Next is motivation and morale. It has been considered that delegation of authority develops among the subordinates a feeling of status and prestige. They feel like they are important to the organization. It may also be used as a device to motivate the subordinates. Next is your training and development. It ensures the employees in the organization to develop their capabilities to undertake new or more challenging jobs, and also it promotes job satisfaction. Next is your quicker and better decision. Here subordinates can take quick decisions without consulting the superior because now they have the authority to take the decisions. So decision making is also better because subordinates are closer to the reality of the situation. Steps involved in the delegation of authority. First, assignment of duties. The delegator first tries to define the tasks and duties to the subordinate. He also has to define the result which are expected from the subordinates. Next, they have to grant the authority, granting of authority. Here a superior divides and shares his authority with the subordinate. The manager at all levels delegate authority and power which is attached to their job positions. Last is your creating responsibility and accountability. Here, manager has to create appropriate responsibility and accountability to create a balance between both of them for smooth functioning of the organization. Prerequisites of delegation of authority. The person to whom the authority is to be given is well aware of the task which he is going to perform. Next, he should be trustworthy. Next, he must have the relevant experience so that he can do the work easily and confidently. Next is he must be confident enough. He should not feel the fear of competitions. Next, he must consult the decisions before taking any. Last topic of the day is barriers or difficulties in delegation of authority. First is wanting to do things personally. Some managers do not delegate because they feel that they can work better than others. So they prefer doing the work themselves rather than getting it done through others. Next is your retention of powers. The students and managers wants to make their importance felt in the organization, and they want that subordinates will approach them to get their problem solved. So the desire to retain power affects the efficiency of delegation process. Next is your lack of confidence. Some subordinates do not want to take responsibility for the fear of not being able to perform well. They don't have that much confidence. So they are not capable enough to take the authority. Next is your fear of making mistakes. If the subordinates fear that they will make mistakes in carrying out the delegated responsibilities, this fear will take them away from taking such added responsibilities. Last is size of the organization. A small sized organization don't have too much jobs to delegate to others. So in that case, delegation of authority is not possible there. Students, that's it for the today. Here are the questions. First is, what do you understand by delegation? Second, explain in detail delegation of authority. These both questions are related to today's lecture. I hope you can solve both of them. So students, if you face any query or doubt, we can conduct a meeting over Google Meet app to solve all your queries. So if you face some difficulties, do let me know.
Thank you so much for your time. Stay tuned for more videos.